Well,
it feels very suddenly like silent and oppressive in here.
Oppressive.
Well,
I
mean audio in a sense of like it actually feels like it's actually being suppressed because we're used to that running.
Have you? What is your thoughts on those whole isolation rooms? Because those things are weird.
Okay, so have we started? I'm gonna have to pick a random arbitrary point in the last minute and a half.
What are your thoughts?
You talking about? Well, okay. What do you mean? Those like
those weird,
fictional?
Like,
well, not fictional.
That
but,
are
okay, so you're talking. That's why I wasn't sure. You're talking about like a sensory deprivation.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Or
about
are you talking about the quote unquote world's quietest room?
No, I'm talking about the actual ISO chambers, like the sensory deprivation tanks.
I can understand them. It's really more of a. They're not a new agey thing.
Well,
they're
people
really
act
mostly
like
just
it's some
a form
spiritual experience, and I'm like,
well,
I'm fairly confident I'd just be like, yeah, this is great.
It's effectively a method of like forced meditation in a sense. It's like it forces you not to. You literally couldn't be distracted by anything because you don't feel anything.
I feel like that's just laziness. But
well,
I suppose
there's people who are.
The argument can be made, I suppose, that you can say the same thing for the people.
I would argue that it's probably in the
phones
case of like that's a little extreme, but I would say it's maybe the same kind of thing where it's like there are people who just literally can't get themselves to shut up. And it's like I understand that if you're, and I mean probably to a level of actual like you probably have a bit of a mental
psyche. Shut up.
Well, yeah.
Shut up.
A little bit. Like, if you can't... I would wager that if you need that, like, genuinely, that's probably a sign of some form of imbalance, where it's like you can't regulate your own... But then again, that happens, and those people do probably need some form of help, so... He's not there! That would be a humorous... That's the wrong sweet mate. By the way, that guy was already dead, so he doesn't need... Oh, he ain't got no cash.
Knock, knock. No one's home.
See, as much as we make fun of how cheesy those kinds of things were in the 80s, because a lot of them were really ridiculous, but some of them were really good. I think
it was more about execution more than it was about
some of them were really
planning.
A stretch. Ooh, dang it. But some of them were actually really clever. My favorite one, I don't even know what the movie was. He just ate... Oh, he didn't eat that one. Oh, come on. First one ricocheted. The second one he felt.
I think he still ate it for breakfast.
I don't remember what the movie was, but it was an
Maybe
Arnold
lunch.
Schwarzenegger one, naturally, because he had a lot of them. Where...
I'm going to eat the lead.
That would have been funny, but for different reasons. Because there was a whole compilation of, like, it was best one-liners before the kill. There was a whole, like, 15-minute video of a bunch of 80s movies. And I don't know the one, but the guy, he's, like, got the guy at the, the final... He's got him in a corner. And the guy says, "Go to hell." And he just says, "Sorry, I don't take requests." And then he offs him. And I was like, that was at least clever, because it's like, that's a... I don't know, that's witty. It's witty for Arnold, at least. Yeah, by the way, they know you're here and they're alarmed, so that's, good luck. I don't remember... Right, we're working for the, for Giancarlo Esposito or something.
What?
I made the comment, Breaking Bad, Gus Fring. I thought of the actor first before I could think of, what would you think that was a shotgun?
Mean to do that.
I'm over here!
Why can I not bring up the dumb...
I would still not recommend shotgun for long range.
I'm trying to bring up the...
Y is the button. You just really need to get a solid grip on these controls. I'll print them out for you. Because
no doubt.
I mean, I don't deny
it's not intuitive at all. The bum buttons make more sense.
It becomes intuitive when you've played it. I mean, I guess that's the opposite of intuitive.
Like, exactly.
I remember, that's
called acquired knowledge.
Sure. But I spent months playing this when I was first playing it, and I didn't play much else. And then I was trying to play. It was some other Modern Warfare. Some famous other one, and I couldn't do it. I was literally it was embarrassing how dreadful. It's like I'm going. None of these buttons do what I'm trying to make them do. Okay, sniper rifle is good for stealth. It's not as good when everyone knows where you are.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I had a few I was picking off, so...
Well, by a few, you mean one.
No, I got 2.
No, that other guy was the one who killed you, so if you got him, it was too late. Mutually assured. What were we talking about? Sensory deprivation?
No,
and people who can't control themselves?
Yeah, no,
Because I thought you were talking about that whole... I know that they exist, but I mean the hype, they're fictional in the sense that the world's quietest room thing where it's literally just a box with every surface padded with heavy insulation, and the floor is literally a net so that there is no surface that is reflective of sound.
And it's like... People go crazy and I'm like, I don't think that.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of nonsense. People are like, oh, it's so quiet that you go mad in 3 minutes. And I'm like, that's BS.
There was probably madness in you before, if that's the case.
I mean, because some people, I don't know how true this is, but like the claim I have heard most frequently is like it's so quiet that you can actually hear the blood pumping in your ears.
Yep, that'd be cool.
And I'm like,
that'd be epic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not confident that that's true. I could certainly believe it was true. But then again, I'm also not... It's like, sometimes if you just sit still, you can feel your heartbeat, and that doesn't drive you mad.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know why this is such an ordeal.
Locking you in the room with a ton of toddlers that aren't your own, I could see maybe driving you mad.
I like how you specified who aren't your own.
Well, I mean, if they're your own, you could just...
If they're your own, you gotta take them away. Anyways, did you have a point for bringing that up?
Well, no,
are you suggesting a retreat or something? Do you need a break?
We were discussing that at one point. It came up, I think the whole Cobra Kai thing.
Because that's what you were secretly angling towards.
No, actually,
Netflix ruins everything.
But we were talking about that, and I just find the whole hype about them a little overstretched.
Well, back when they weren't hyped, I was actually kind of interested. I was like, oh, that would be mostly just because I'm like that would be an odd experience.
Again, you didn't expect that it was going to put you into some sort of psychosis.
Hi. I don't think I've never heard anyone claim that they do that.
I've heard that's...
Well, but here's what's fun. Oh, not enough energy, I can't pick stuff up.
Psychosis, that's what's fun.
Well, if you've watched Arcane... I was gonna huck a vending machine, but I ain't got juice. Oh, my juice is coming back. Hey, buddy. No, I don't have my juice yet. I just want to give you a snack.
Email.
Fine. Here's your snack. That was my snack. He's got back up. He's clever. He's very clever. I'm hurt.
But you heard about these new chips, buddy? They really pack a punch.
But he is a fool who doesn't understand tactics. I reckon he went that way. Oh, well, I missed my opportunity.
Apparently he's not a fool.
Well, he is a fool. He's just also a tank. Whoa! He, exploded. He was an automaton.
Died like a graceful... Look at that.
Oh,
that is some grace.
There's no grace. This is rigor mortis in the extreme. What is the gun doing? What is he doing? His hips don't lie.
Literally.
They literally don't lie still. What are you doing, bro? Whoa! Oh. And then you arc.
He got into some pelvic thrusting.
I bet you the gun got lodged somewhere. Rigor mortis was trying to dislodge it. He seems to be okay. Well, I thought maybe... Oh, I heard the little alarm sound and I thought maybe someone was watching me.
I don't know. I just find the whole...
He's molesting Bob!
I need that. It's also, I think, when...
There's a weird new age resurgence.
To me, it's the same... No, but I wasn't going that route. I was
that's
going
how
more
some people treat it.
The notion of, all these weird new things that people want to try, like the IV bars and...
IV bars?
Yeah, you can get some fresh blood and feel better because it's infused with vitamins and all this nonsense. And I'm like, no, that's stupid.
This is new age.
How is it new age?
Because it's new age
is spirituality.
Yeah, but it's a sort of... But that's how they're treating it. I mean, it's a sort of new age. It's almost like it's topical. It's like a cyberpunk new age. Where it's like, infuse yourself with the blood of a Himalayan virgin, man.
What?
Oh, come on. That didn't kill him?
I thought you were going to say, come on, you didn't get that?
No,
Himalayan
I'm saying...
virgins?
Well...
I got to thinking, IVs and virgins.
No, I'm just saying, yes, there's some science behind it, but that is not what people are doing it for. They're doing it because they're like, it's the whole...
I can feel the blood coursing through
Yeah,
my
it's like
veins.
people who try to argue about, like, crystals are scientifically based because they have a natural resonant frequency, and it's... If it matches your net resonant frequency, and I'm just like, yes, these are scientific words. Star Trek had plenty of those.
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't make it any more real.
Well, I mean, and I'll go as far as to say,
This is probably not a
there
great
are certain
distance
things,
for this.
something like, like a biofreeze, if you've ever used that, like for your muscles and things. It's like, okay, sure.
You're talking about like an icy hot
It's like an
type of
icy hot
thing?
kind of thing. So
Well, but see,
use
even
that,
then,
sure, that's a topical thing
I
that
was
works.
recommended one of those like Tiger Balm
Yeah.
muscle thing. Didn't work squat.
Oh,
Didn't work in the slightest.
See, I
I think I have the metabolism of a freight train.
That guy got hit by a freight train.
Like, genuinely.
But
It's
if
like,
we-
I'm also...
If you,
yeah.
I'm not disagreeing that medicines
this
can be
dude's-
topical, but especially with the whole oil people that are like,
Yeah,
this
that's
one
them.
really will wing.
I like how
wing
you
your-"
say oil people like you're not related to them.
I'm certainly related to one. I would not say I brought in.
Well, it's just funny that you're trying to distance, like, those oil people.
But I'm saying it's the notion that like
They
somehow
work for some people. I don't deny people's
they work.
anecdotal evidence, but apparently
Right.
I'm either a block of stone that looks like a man, or they don't work for everybody.
right.
Because it's literally like, oh, this will make you... And even, you don't lie to me. You've tried to get me to use it before.
Well, the ones
there was
that
the
I
one
feel like
thing that
they're
you said
certain
worked, and I
topical-
was
yeah,
like, well...
exactly.
And I was like, well, because
But I've never acted
trust
like it's
you.
because it matches your frequency of your bloodstream.
Because it's like people... That's how... I've even heard people try to argue tarot cards by the same logic.
No,
and I'm like,
exactly. I'm
it's
like, this
because
is-
we let them choose, because the ones they choose they'll subconsciously know what they need. And I'm like, this is all just hippie nonsense.
No, exactly. Well,
Like, sure, look at a Rorschach test and tell me what you see, and maybe I'll think that has some significance. But like,
but that's the same. It's the same sentiment. It's
basically,
just
and it
more
ought
honest.
to be, and it ought to be, yeah, exactly. It's like it acknowledges that it's a bit inconclusive.
Well, and it's also it is meant to be more revelatory.
I really need to not.
It's meant to be more revelatory of your own subconscious than it is of your.
What
of
I
any sort
really
of-
should do is pick a better vantage point before I start, because the problem is I can't get out of here once they know I'm in here.
Yeah.
Then I just have to fight my way out, and that doesn't seem to end well.
I don't know. Anyway,
So speaking of plumbing your depths.
I was getting to all that to say I think that this whole notion of culture driving at this, it's like the people that go into the oxygen bars to breathe like flavored oxygen. It's like, that's really stupid.
Yeah, because even then I'm like, well, they are at least as far as I've heard, I've never heard any bizarre medical claims for that.
No.
It's just like it smells. Does it smell, or does it, like, can you taste it?
You can
or
taste it, but then also like people go, oh, because
you
it's
leave
direct
feeling
oxygen,
like
you
well,
feel
there's
better
some.
or
Well, but
whatever
there's
else.
actually, that's also not. You can, like, you're not meant to breathe nothing but pure oxygen. That
Right.
can actually have its own. It's like when you drink too much water.
Right.
It's like that also isn't great for you.
End up with a floating rib.
That's not the reason, but okay.
I'm joking.
I don't know why. Is it like how the people who smoke menthols, where it's like you inhale some mint oxygen and then it's like you spend the rest of the day going, every breath feels like ice.
Every breath I take.
My lungs are full of vinegar. Okay, so I'm gonna try out the new strategy.
Dirty mouth, clean it up with menthol cigarettes. Rather than Orbit White. Come on, it's a gum commercial.
Well, okay, but I wasn't sure if you were actually like quoting something here. Hi. Darn it.
Good morning.
What?
It's a
I thought you were gonna go Good Morning Vietnam.
good woo.
It's actually
good
a good
morning Vietnam.
It's actually a good movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's been a while since I've watched anything new, I'll admit, and I'm not happy about this fact.
I finally
Well, actually, no, that's not
watched
true.
Van Helsing,
The anime or the movie?
the movie.
Whose recommendation did you do that on? Because it was not mine.
I enjoyed it with Hugh Jackman. I thought it was good.
Is he in that?
Yeah, he is Van Helsing.
No, then we're
He
thinking of
is
two
indeed.
different movies.
I don't think
Because
so.
I've heard of a Van Helsing movie that was not good.
Well, I mean, it was certainly like there were parts of it that were definitely cheese, but
Okay.
I thought it was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting.
So I said I haven't watched anything new recently. That's not exactly true. I recently watched Unforgiven, the Clint Eastwood movie.
Ooh.
And I'm not going to lie, it was a bit weird, and I didn't quite get it.
I'm not a huge fan of Clint
Well,
Eastwood.
here's the thing. I deliberately... This was back... In fact, I have... Because we've been doing these for over a year now, which is a ludicrous thing to think. Because life is fleeting and you should all prepare for death. But...
Wow. Just insert sad violin music.
I thought you were going with some kind of theremin, like... Woo. Well, no offense, your violin impression was lacking. What are you gonna pinch his cheeks? What was
I
that?
thought I'd just give him a little squeeze. Just, woo!
I was just imagining a clown sound. Just. Oh, anyways, whoa! He's blind as a bat. Whoa. Blind as a bat and ready for love. He fell over and he's not gonna get up. That was actually kind of gruesome, though. Like, the way he held his gut was awfully realistic. Take it. Are you gonna pick it up? The thing is, I asked you about, specifically, I asked you to give me 5 martial arts movies. And I did that for a bunch of other things. That is a projection. That is not a real shadow.
This guy's just in here reading a book. You know what, you dude? You're
Well,
the problem with America.
Hang on. Let's point... Well, he's not in America.
Well,
but let's point out...
This is a very American concept.
We're in, like, the slummiest of slummy Chinese capsule hotels. This is probably not the first firefight that's gone down.
That's probably true.
He's probably just really invested in some real good headphones.
Mind your own business.
He's got some real great sound-canceling headphones and some Enya to listen to. And he's trying to...
Why would you go there?
Well, he's trying to counteract the negative energy. He wants some positive vibes.
Can say with
That's what the sound cancelling's for.
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah. That was the... I'm out.
A picture, not for nothing.
Okay, you're getting
Okay.
shot. Audacity is unintuitive and jank. And what bothers me is every time I think best podcasting software that's free, people say it's always Audacity. And I'm like, but it's designed by apes. This is the thing.
That's the starting right there. You should grab that track, move it ahead.
No.
But it's designed by apes. Have you been in a deprivation tank?
I'm just saying, it's very much the old school Windows thing where everyone's like, it can do just about anything. And I'm like, yeah, if you've got the manual and a nuclear physics degree. Because
they can do just about anything.
It is the most unintuitive.
It won't, but it could.
Oh boy, and I got killed from that. I don't remember how much of what I was saying got said.
I don't know.
So I suppose I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Deprivation tanks. Where was I going?
There. We were talking about.
It's like a thought train derailed by Audacity.
We were talking about the whole. He was in a firefight, and he's used to firefights.
Well, we were talking about that guy. That was a riff. I was going to try to get into a topic here.
We were talking about flavored oxygen. Oh, Enya.
Enya, fake science used to justify garbage.
Yeah,
it's gone. I guess.
The biggest thing is, again, the whole, oxygen being flavored or whatever else. The bottom line is, there's just a lot of stuff out there that's pseudo-science, and it's annoying.
Well, there is a lot of that, but that's not new. And there was, again, the jumping off point that we were going to make, but it's gone.
Well, it was cyberpunk to a degree.
Hi.
We were talking about that.
Woo, he did the Macarena. Hey, Macarena. Aye.
So
Come on,
you were
pal.
going to talk about cyberpunk for a second.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about cyberpunk new age. It was part of that same thing.
No, watching new stuff, and you haven't really, except the Clint Eastwood.
Oh yes, Clint. Thank you. You brought me back.
We've come full circle, or maybe more like an oval.
A really stretchy oval. Oh, that was awful. That guy. Man, use wired controllers, and they still have connectivity problems. So I did the same thing. I asked you for the 5 episodes of the martial arts films because I knew you would know, and then I rounded up just like what are 5 films of a particular genre or by particular directors, just because I was trying to broaden some of my experience. And so I was like, okay, I tried to find what are the top 5 recommended Clint Eastwood films, because they're kind of a genre of their own. And Unforgiven, almost unfailingly, was not only on everyone's 5 list, but it was usually at the top.
Huh.
And so that gives me a little bit of pause, because it wasn't a bad movie at all.
Well, but
it was just a little
are very
slow.
Spaghetti.
How many of you? Well, that's of course their point, and I'm not inherently opposed to that. At least I don't think I am.
Well, you may be.
I haven't seen many. It's just that this one, maybe it was the hype, but I was like, when people say this is his best thing, and then I'm only like, oh, it's, okay. Then I'm like, well, does that mean that I'm going to think something else is better, or are they all going to be downhill from here? It's kind of like the Arthur C. Clarke problem I had when I talked about the book, Songs from Distant Earth, which even he himself claimed was like, oh, this is my best work, and I didn't like it. So I'm like, that either means he was wrong, or I just don't like Arthur C. Clarke. You have to have a backup plan. I'm coming to tickle your knees.
At the time, he was turned around.
Well, but then he turned around, and you just committed.
Well, I mean, when you're sneaking up on your knees, what else?
Well, you open fire with the gun in your hand.
I was down here washing the
I'm not suggesting
grates in the... I'm here to cap you. I'm sorry.
I'm not suggesting you've tried to play it off. I'm simply saying you were holding a gun.
You have screens on your knees.
Screen technician, just making sure you got your update. I was trying to think of a reason that would be necessary, and then I was like, well, there is none.
What's your name, Adam? HR warned me about you.
See, I like how we're in China and national HR knows that Adam Jensen's a pest. See, here's the thing. If the knee screens were on the top of your knees, then I'd be like, okay, when you're on the toilet... You got your screen there. You don't have to bring it with you.
You put them together, it combines and makes one big screen.
Exactly, and then you could separate them and you got the cool dual typing, and that would make sense. But the problem is they're always on the bottom half of the knees, in which case they don't make any sense. I'm going to flip this dynamic on its head. Instead of starting from the top and working down, I'm actually going to go down, work my way up.
Is this Adam's
we going down for real? Well, just because, I don't know, we got to shake things up somehow. I like how I'm trying to save this dude, and literally everyone else in this place is dead, except for the guys reading. They're doing okay. Well, I was about to say there's one of them here, but he's not. Hey there. What brand of headphones do you use? I'm also curious.
Don't do that.
I want to know if they animated it, but then I don't want to give away my position. So I guess...
Too late.
Social constructs dictate that you get to live today, pal. But anyways, yeah, I didn't love it. Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. It's just they said it was going to be great, and it was only it was only okay. I would like to think that something like Dirty Harry or Good, Bad, and the Ugly. It's like I'm hoping those are the more famous movies.
There's one in particular in which maybe it is Dirty Harry that he gets hung, and then he comes back.
I am not familiar.
But he's not. He didn't actually fully die, and so he comes back and he.
Well, I should imagine if he came back, he didn't fully die.
But I can't remember.
That's not Dirty Harry,
called.
from what I gather. It could be one of the.
I know it's a
Fistful of Dollars series. Because that's Good, Bad, and the Ugly is the last of that. It was Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, and Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which broke the naming tradition and me kind of annoyed. But
I don't know.
I don't know. So I watched that, and when I said I haven't watched much new, but I haven't watched a lot new recently. Because back when I had, my own, back when I was in my college dorm, I was in my apartment, back when I was a free man, I actually made a point one year. I was like, I want to watch a bunch of new stuff, and it was like a weekly thing. I was like, this is movie night. I'm going to make some fun, movie-appropriate dinner. And I'm going to watch a new movie because I just was like, I want to broaden my horizons, and I haven't done that. I don't know why.
Because you're
maybe it's because
a working man now.
Well, largely, but even then, I did this after I was out of college. But I suppose I was still working a very minimum, like a low tier job that was not full time.
Well, I mean, give yourself.
So I had more time. That's the problem. It's just time is cruel.
It is a cruel mistress. To be sure.
There's a guy behind you. He's going to turn around. You're going to get capped in the butt or the face.
Unless I knee him first, or I can just punch him, sure. works too.
Well, his partner's up on your jack, see?
Well,
Get into someone's cab, get a book, quick! Oh, you can actually do it. Book! Close the door!
close the door. Where's he at?
He's going, he's reading the book. That must have it was his act of self-defense. So, yeah. I don't know. That's I guess all I have to say about that.
Give me one little picture window, pal.
Of what? Of his knee screams?
Of your knee.
What? He's
gonna give it to me.
He's gonna wait. Oh, I forgot. If you just knock them out, they don't stay down because they're not actually dead.
He was deader than a doornail.
No, you punched him. Now they're certainly dead. That was some funny ragdolling. Oh, he's still going. Oh boy, I'm just gonna lay down and I didn't realize you were doing that to him.
Let me hold you.
What is this logo they got on their shirt? Are they polo players?
No, it's Hydra.
They're Welsh, apparently. Anyways, I don't know. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, it sounds like you had a bit of a crisis.
It wasn't a crisis. It was a peaky thing.
A peaky crisis.
I had a peaky crisis.
I had a peek-see at peaky.
I took a peek. It's not to your level yet. It's not.
I don't think anyone's to my level. No, let's be honest.
Wow. I'm saying it's not to the level that you. It's not to Arcane's level yet, and I don't think it will, and I don't think anything will. But it got a little bit closer.
You understood my.
Well, no, actually, what's funny is it was just the same reasons. It was my own reasons, but finally Peaky gave me a reason to care.
Was it Arthur? Arthur finally won.
No, I have always liked Arthur, but it was specifically. Because I have never caught myself thinking, like, especially reflecting on a scene at random. Like, something that was like, it just comes to my mind, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this scene...
Luca tipped the scales for you, didn't he?
No, it was... Well, no, actually, I mean, it was during that arc, but it wasn't involving him. Because it was when the horse training lady who he had a thing with, she comes back, and effectively he's trying to, like, rekindle their old whatever, and she's basically like, you're a little bit unhinged and I can't be around it. It's effectively what she said. But because the clip, there's actually, I saw some clips of it because I tried to pull it back up to remember exactly how it went. And it's the one that's, nothing seems to change you. It's like you've lost your wife and your brother and it seems like nothing changes you. And then a little bit later, it's the reaction that he has to that, the whole, I forget exactly what he says, because I think partially it's the line, and then a lot of it is the delivery that I think is great. And it's just because she's like, you're a businessman and a good one, but if only you could. And he cuts in going, if only I could what? If only I could change. And he's going, and he basically walks away. And he's just like, you freaking people. And I was like, there was just something about his manner in that. I was like, again, we talked I guess not on the air, about the more kind of motivational aspect of why I liked Arcane as opposed to the more sort of logistical, which is why you like this. So again, when I say it's the same reason, because that was much more of the mindset.
Well,
reloading.
It speaks to the same thing that you were talking about, which is that the whole...
That was my fault for not having a backup that time.
Once your life has been lost, you're a little bit like, I'm going to live the way I'm going to freaking live,
that was the end of a different season.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the notion
I understood that, but this one was more of the... Well, here's the thing, and this is you're probably not going to be as happy, because it is a conversion, but it's only because that scene converged slightly closer to feeling like something out of Arcane. So it's not that it's really mostly that it's like I liked it more because it resembled more closely something I already liked. But it's just kind of like I don't know. I think it was just his particular delivery of it, where it's just the kind of like, why can't y'all just freaking let me be?
Right.
Why can't I just be who I am and let you leave me alone? And so that was sort of, it was the first time that I caught myself actually reflecting on a scene after I had seen it, which I don't know that I've done that for this much yet, other than in sort of more reveling kind of ways, like, oh, this was a good line or a clever joke or a funny, one-liner. But yeah, so calling it a conversion may be too generous, but I thought you might appreciate it since you're the new priest of this religion. I like how you don't even bother to qualify that statement.
Well, I mean, hallelujah.
Now, why you gotta molest corpses? I mean, I know you're taking their cash, but you gotta be so crude about it.
Corpses come in here sometimes.
You just shot into the wall. Well, okay, so you've at least gone from having no backup to having a backup, but you need to work on the quality of said backup, because shoot into the wall is probably not the one. We need to actually put some, like, focus. There's not that many guys in here, and we're just bumbling around.
You probably do need to go downstairs. I think that
might have been a good idea. Well, do you want to carry us on so I can get a slight focus, or otherwise we're never going to get out of here?
No focus. Needs more focus.
It do.
No, I mean, I do think that was certainly one of my, in watching the show, one of my reflections, again, was that in the way in which he approaches life, not only is he very, very ambitious, but also somebody that... I'm speaking into the mic.
Well, the audacity doesn't know that. Look at the difference in those peaks. Here, hold this. Hold it up to your face.
But I think also the fact that he is not... Some people will adjust their own, not even perspectives, but maybe even plans or...
That's what happened last time. That's why this didn't work last time.
You know,
there's a lot down here.
Perspective focuses based on like others and how it affects others. Whereas I think there's a okay.
Okay, so there's a lot more people downstairs than I thought. So perhaps staying up high is better.
The fact that he just goes, well, no, my ambitions are my own, and that's it. I mean, not that... That sounds very much like look out for number one, but at the same time, there's a part of it that's...
There is rational self-interest is not...
Yeah.
Again, Ayn Rand's downfall was that she tried to alter the meaning of an already very loaded word. She tried to reclaim the concept of selfishness, and she said, selfishness is actually a virtue. And it's like, I think that was the biggest stumbling block, because everyone reads that one line and they think, well, she was just a terrible person. It's like, well, you have to actually... She put forth an alternate definition of selfishness,
right?
That no one took on, and so now all we think is, well, she promoted selfishness. That doesn't sound good. It's
almost like
it was rational self-interest. Well, she actually has said things that Jordan Peterson says, and of course now all the Jordan Peterson haters are going to go, see, it's because he's terrible. And again, because they don't pay attention. Well, it's rational self-interest by stating, you are not you now. You are you throughout time. So what is best for you throughout time is actually going to be best. You missed every one of those. That was a Pulp Fiction moment.
Pulp Fiction?
The moment where when the dude bursts into the room with his gun and he's got a massive freaking revolver and he just blindly shoots and he misses every shot. And you literally, every one of those went right under his shoulder. It was funny. Because it's like, you have to not only act in a way that suits you now, you have to act in a way that suits your future self. And it turns out, screwing other people over for your own gain is a short-term strategy.
Right.
So that does you a disservice to yourself in the future. So rational self-interest means I have to not only look out for myself and what I do, but I have to ensure that the communities around me don't... Yeah, it's like I have to make sure that the bubble of people around me aren't going to one day hate my guts.
Well, it flies in the face, really, of the whole social ladder climbing, because it's like...
Well, because, again, people think, it's all about power and coercion. It's like, no, it's actually more about reciprocity and...
Influence.
How can we both benefit?
Right. Well, it's win-win, which, again, going back to Covey...
But see, that again, everyone thinks... The problem is we have a very zero-sum mindset these days, so people think there is no win-win. People think if you're winning, I must be losing, and I just don't know it yet.
It drives me crazy. People that think since zero-sum game
let's
is
talk
the most
about
obnoxious thing.
We already brought it up. Let's talk about the Queen.
Sure.
Because everyone's been using the passing of the Queen to basically try to crap all over English history. Well, here's what's funny that I think is great is that some people suggest, wow, he had some... I mean, I knew he was going to see me. I thought I'd close the distance before he got a shot off. But people used to add, we even talked about this when it first happened, the notion that like, oh, people liked the Queen, but they aren't sure that the monarchy's going to last because no one's sure.
Right.
And it turns out basically the entirety of the British public has like rallied itself around its tradition that it had lost. So it's actually, people are actually like, no, we actually have a great history and a good tradition, and it's like, we're proud of this, and we don't want to let it go. And, I mean, this is more breaking, actually. This happened, I think, just the other day. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of this because I keep recommending to you the Lotus Eaters podcast. Basically, they're a British news / cultural media company.
Right.
They're very similar they're kind of like a small version of the British Daily Wire, effectively.
Yeah.
And they're really interesting, and they've got obviously a natural British-born perspective on it. But it's like there was the news recently of a British journalist on Don Lemon, who's an idiot, and he was trying to make he was trying to bring up the sort of race reparation thing. It was like, oh, people think that the royal family basically owes a bunch of other people for the money that they've been given. And she's like, well, yeah, we could talk about reparations. Let's talk about the fact that England was the first country in history to outlaw slavery. Let's talk about the fact that we are still paying off the debt from literally buying the freedom of all the slaves in Africa.
Right.
It's like, that's how we ended slavery. We didn't have to fight a war over it because we literally just paid for it, basically. And they're still paying off those debts.
Are you ready to be demonetized?
So she was, well, we already are. But she literally was like, so if we're talking about reparations, I think perhaps the sailors who went around the seas and put an end to the slave trade, their families probably deserve some reparations. And you could just see Don Lemon's eyes going, I can't respond to this. So he literally is like, well, that's a fascinating perspective. Let's just move on. Like,
seriously?
Oh yeah, he basically ends it immediately. Like, you could tell that he's like, oh yeah, okay, thanks for coming on, and let's get off the air.
It's one of my buddies that is he's an African American guy that we're both in Texas, and so we're sitting there talking about this whole what was it, the Juneteenth or whatever, and he's like, oh, y'all celebrating Juneteenth? He's like, no one did that. He's like, that was a Texan thing. He's like, we were one of the first people.
True?
Yeah. He's like, we were one of the first people to adopt this notion that we need to actually...
Yeah. Well, because it was just... Because effectively, I forget who it was. Wow.
Just shot above his head.
I missed.
Giving me crap.
Yeah, but at least I finished... I see?
Sure. I don't know why you end up getting lucky with guys that go, huh?
That wasn't...
Someone's shooting around me.
Don't call it luck. Call it what it was. Masterful, unconventional strategy.
Okay.
I think it was Michael Knowles who was commenting on that clip. He's basically making the argument. It's like the U.S. obviously does not have nearly as solid a case, granted, but he's going, okay, so the England literally paid for the freedom of just about all of the. Effectively, it was they paid for the people who had already been enslaved but had not yet been traded out of Africa yet.
Right.
They basically went to the kingdoms and republics that were slaving them, said, we're going to buy all of these people's freedom effectively, and then they policed the high seas, ensuring that they couldn't be traded anywhere.
Right.
So he's like, okay, yeah, naturally, it's like, as far as reparations, I'm pretty sure England's definitely paid their fair share. And then it's like, but let's also consider the fact that, okay, yes, they beat us by approximately 30 years. We still got there before a lot of the rest of the world.
Sure.
And
we didn't do it with a ton of cash.
No, but I mean, and then we also did kind of, I mean, people, the English especially, like to make fun of the whole Civil War thing because they take every opportunity to rub our nose in it, I guess. And they're like, whoa, that was a great one. Let's acknowledge the fact that was a form of reparation. Obviously, it wasn't a palatable form. It was not the way anyone would have wanted it to happen. But it's like, yeah, there was enough people who said, I'm actually willing to die to ensure that this stops.
Right.
Now, I recognize that the ledger is somewhat tarnished by the fact that the follow-up in the legal system was not thorough enough.
Right.
And granted, we should, acknowledge that. But, like, there are still parts of the world where this does, in fact, still happen.
Right.
So let's not act like we're behind the times. So now that we've been demonetized thoroughly, we can say whatever we want.
There's no rules.
How do we get onto this, though? We were talking about
Ayn Rand and selfishness, and I was going to actually make the comment that I think she was ahead of her time in that.
I would agree, but the thread is still missing. There's one boxcar missing on that train.
Well, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
It's modern day notion of self-care, and I risk using that because I think people have taken it too far.
Well, of course they have.
Where it's now become like it's been hijacked by the liberal left.
Oh, of course.
And it's
just about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one guy left up here.
But I mean, the notion that you ought to take care of yourself, it's a bit like put the mask on yourself before assisting an infant.
Well,
It's like,
yes, but see, that's the case in which it actually makes some sense. It's a little bit of the whole you can't pour from an empty cup concept. It's like,
right.
There's validity in that, but you also don't need a full cup 24/7.
That's true.
Like, people be sitting there overflowing their cups going, man, I got so much in my cup, and I could help so many people, and then they don't bother. It's like, you do actually have to pour it out every now and again, otherwise you're just wasting.
Right.
So don't go acting like I just need this. I mean, yeah, we're old-fashioned, I grant, but there's a bit of a bootstrap pulling that needs to happen.
Run longer, sleep less. It's sleep when you're dead.
I am close to out of ammo on this thing.
I agree. It's
that dude has not moved. Well, that. Okay.
Is he gonna come up and say hello?
I doubt it. They never follow through.
They don't know why you say goodbye. They want to say hello.
Okay, now that was not the boxcar that connected the train, so it was just a different boxcar.
Then give me the missing link.
I don't know. Well, that's what I'm trying to find. I don't remember what it was. I brought that up because it was somehow related, like the idea of I forget. It's gone.
Social justice.
Well, I'm sure that came into it somehow. There is no such thing. There is only justice. If it has to be qualified, it's not justice.
That is true.
Yes. Thank you for agreeing.
Well, but my point in that is that that kind of speaks to the whole our comment about the fact that while sure something like sociology and even social organization within construct is made up of individuals, and if the minute that we say it's not about the individual, it's about the collective, it's like, but the collective is made up of individuals.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a crowd, effectively.
Exactly.
I don't think my pick and mix strategy is going to work.
Just grab a chicken stick.
Well, I didn't even... The death by 1,000 cuts. Just poke your head out. Oh,
they gave you
it did work, but they did it the opposite way. They were crafty. They used it against me. But see, I have no clue. We went from talking about movies and then to New Age. This is what conversations are like, folks. Who knows what we're going to talk about? Not even us. Apparently, we don't even know what we are talking about. I don't know. It's just been interesting to see that. And it's fun. It's actually... Someone made that comment on one of those videos that I was watching about all this, saying it's actually quite nice it's heartening to see the British not hating themselves for once.
Yeah.
Basically being like, actually, let's get some things correct about history here. We're not all just... Well, the thing is, what's sad is there's a really weird just love of finding guilt.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah. Except, of course, in yourself. Because...
Wow.
Well, of course that's what it is. But it was... Because there was a huge and ridiculous thing about... Sweden got the end of the stick because, of course, it was coming for... It seems to be a... I have no clue how he did it. I think that was probably his partner behind you.
Absurd.
But it looked as though he flipped with such force that he kicked you in the head. It was like... Because he flipped over when he died in a weird way.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
It was, clearly, quite the kick.
The room went completely back. I shot him and he shot back. Like the soldier said, quote, ain't that a hole in your scrotum?
That was the first thing that came to my mind. Gosh. And I was hoping... You wouldn't say it. I was hoping we were on the same negative wavelength. Like, We're thinking it, so neither of us say it. Because, yeah, it was Sweden's turn on the chopping block. Because apparently there was a weird... Like, people talking about a weird cultural thing in Sweden where... And this sort of makes sense when you think about it. It's Scandinavian countries being some of the most sort of private and...
Right.
Very, like...
How
my business
dare
is my
you say
business, your
something
business,
about
your
that.
business.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently it is not uncommon if you have if you have someone staying over at your house or like a friend, if kids have sleepovers or whatever. It's not uncommon for the kid who's staying over to just be like, the family will eat dinner and the kid will not eat with them. And it's like, yeah, and people, they try to be like, well, it's like, it's our freaking food. It's like, I'm like, that's just a really weird cultural difference that they're like, you're not wrong. That's like, you don't have an obligation, I suppose. If it's not their food, it's like, you don't have to give them yours. But I'm like, that's just a weird cultural perspective.
Well, yeah, because our perspective is that you've invited them over.
It's like, yeah,
so you do have an obligation.
You've kind of prevented their opportunity to make their own, considering you've taken them out of their house. But I guess they would argue, well, they chose to come. So I mean, again, it's like, I guess at every point you're not wrong, but so it's just a weird cultural difference. But then that went on to somehow get skewed to Sweden being racist.
Why?
Because apparently this also happens to black people in Sweden. And when it happens to black people in Sweden, then it's a problem. Swedish kids can exclude other Swedish kids from eating with their families. But once it's a black person, then it's like a big thing. And then people try to be like, oh, and then also, Sweden actually did undergo its own period of colonialism in like the 1700s, I like to point out. It's not like, this was recent. And then there's like, oh, some person was like chiming in saying, oh, they made a lot of their money by selling chains to slave traders. I'm like, or probably sailors or, factory workers, or chains are used for a lot of things, you imbeciles.
But I mean, like, they'll say anything.
Exactly.
Is racist.
So they were basically trying, but the thing that bothered me is
those Brits on the
what?
Right side drives, that's racist.
Well, I'm sure.
Why aren't they driving on the left?
If you looked it up, I'm sure you could find a correlation that someone's attempted to make.
But it's because they want everybody to be leftists.
That's probably as stupid as that too. But the thing that bothered me is I had heard the first story when it came out and was like, that's really weird. The cultural thing, not the racist thing. And then, but what bothered me is that someone was actually reveling online, like, I love how this weird, cultural clash and like, oh, isn't that a strange culture shock? It somehow revealed like Sweden's dark secret history, and now we can add Sweden to the list of countries we hate. And I'm like, you just enjoy being an anus. You like hating people.
And it's like you're lifted
literally
Sweden up for a long time about like, oh,
it's like they will absolutely eat their own
gender stuff taken care of. But let's crap on them anyway.
Well, exactly. It's like you literally...
You just jumped.
I figured shooting up from down below probably wasn't helpful. But it's just like you actually revel in this kind of mudslinging.
Oh,
it's like that just makes you an anus. You are a bad person if you do this.
Well, actually,
now I don't
monkeys.
What? Well, okay.
That's like poo-flinging is my point.
I suppose, given that we're talking about race, I mean, I suppose you probably want to use more careful... I'm just saying, I didn't know where you were going with that, and I was like,
wow,
you might want to pick more careful language.
Sure, but I mean, I wasn't going there.
I know, I hoped that, but I wanted you to make it clear.
I hope you would do more than hope that.
Well, just be careful with your word choice. It's a valid lesson. I'm just telling you. Anyways, I'm just... And again, I'm not... And then people are going to be like, oh, you just got done saying that people are bad people. It's like, yes, I'm not suggesting that I am somehow not...
It's
a victim.
Maybe I'll say it this way as a better
concern.
Way of saying
it's like
it's primal.
It's like just reveling in bringing others down,
right?
Regardless of the actual good that it does. It's just like that. Just means you enjoy being hateful.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm not saying that I'm not, occasionally hateful and given to, anger and vengeance, because everyone is.
Yeah, but
you should at least avoid reveling in it.
But there's a point in which logic has to over and supersede it.
Well, of course, we're going to soon reach the age where logic is racist. We've already reached the age where logic is sexist.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm not joking, there are people who make the argument And so it's like we're gonna get to the point where basically any form of, argument is oppressing the people that argument doesn't facilitate, which is like, maybe
don't you know that IQ is actually a form of...
Yes, it's systematic oppression, of course.
Yeah, exactly, oppression.
And that's just where it's like, well, I'm going to quote Kant here. Of course, they would tell me that because it's a philosopher, that's logic and therefore evil. But it's like, it's a bit of the, if truth will kill them, let them die. It's like,
right.
if there's a hill, there's going to be people sacrificed in either case. The best hill on which to sacrifice anybody is going to be the hill of truth. Because that will at least allow you to sacrifice the least. Right. And then people are going to go, oh, look at this Machiavellian jerk.
Well, I think also, not just the least, but also with their own choice, by their own means, if that makes sense. I mean, people that don't accept truth are going to go out by their own hand.
Hoist by their own petard.
Right, exactly.
Petard. Not Picard. Wow. I made a faux pas by trying to avoid the faux pas, because that was a joke. That was a dumb joke
Picard.
from Hoist by their own Picard. It was a dumb joke about Patrick Stewart, of course.
Oh.
That's... Okay, that was... You're thinking Kirk.
I know.
So I know, in an attempt to make sure I didn't misspeak, I misspoke anyways. Alright. This armor... These guys suck. I don't think I even have the... did I get him? I think I got him.
You got him.
It's a man down, okay. I don't think I have the ammo to keep this up, because I do think they send reinforcements occasionally. I'm going to have to start taking some guys out hand to hand. Either that or finding ammo, and given this dump, I doubt I'm going to find any. Or I'll find a lot, who knows? But anyway. Why,
is that 9mm? We don't
Why did we have to get on a soapbox? This is soapboxy.
Well, then get off it.
Come off it.
What's the... No, I gotta get out of the flow. Well, then get out.
Right, anyways. Well, that was a bit of... We both had to check our pants up for a moment. We caught each other with our pants down.
Thought he was checking for poop.
Well, I think he was. I was too. So yeah, well, do you have something fluffy to... I didn't want to get worked up. You got me all worked up.
I wasn't trying to get you worked up.
Well,
I was
did.
Talking about...
And because I'm a liberal, I'm blaming you.
Wow.
Don't you know you should have respected my desire not to get worked up about the things you couldn't have known would work me up?
That whole concept...
That noise was just... That told a story.
Well, there is a whole story behind that, and that is that people that I've interacted with that
I was totally doing a hit stun thing where I was getting him every time because he was reacting.
Have that perspective of like, here's how you can make me not react in the future. It's like, no, here's how you should not react.
Here's how you could take the binky out and maybe pull your diaper down and actually put on some pants. I need to put on some pants. Well, we made it some progress. We need to save when we make some progress. That's part of the problem, is we start... if I had saved when I got to the second level, we would have probably at least had some progress.
That's true. Is that kind of the hunt and peck that we were wanting to do?
It's a little cheap, but then again, the game allows it. It's not like we're, subverting.
Have we set it on the highest setting?
Yes, of course we did.
Okay, because I feel like...
Now I don't feel bad about cheating.
Each time we've done things, I'm like, why is this taking us so flippin' long?
Yeah, what's weird is we didn't struggle nearly this much on Batman, despite Batman also being set to the highest level.
Apparently Deus Ex goes hard.
Apparently it does, because I'm like, we were equally... Because at first I'm like, well, it's probably just because you get distracted by talking about stuff. I'm like, well, that happened in Batman too. So why... I don't get it.
Point of fact,
maybe
when
this
you're
is
talking
just
about
go hard.
Deus Ex over the phone, make sure you enunciate Deus Ex.
Day of...
rather than something else.
We've been playing... That's not what you... Hey, what have you been playing? We've been playing Deus
Ex.
Shotguns are not for long distance. Everybody knows this.
Well, 15 feet you could hardly consider
that was
long
not
distance.
15 feet. That was maybe 15 yards.
No, it wasn't.
That was absolutely not 15 feet. Why?
I'm in a...
Stop the connecting controller.
I'm in a sleep pod.
Yeah, but these are big hallways. These aren't 15
they're
feet.
not that big.
These are big enough for a person to fully stretch out. There's 3 of them in a row. That means that one bit is 15 feet minimum.
Right.
Which means the whole hallway is easily 30. You were from the other side. Fluff topic. Something less work uppy.
Are you... I think I've officially given up.
Ever dreamed of owning a Harley Davidson?
What? I think I've officially given up on the Assassin's Creed games. I know
so you've started watching the news, is what I gather.
No, you
I got to this
gave up
a long time ago.
That
just sounds very cynical. I gave up a long time ago. Buddy.
I think the thing that really tipped the scales for me was the end of Unity. It was
you reached it.
It was.
Now
bad.
I'd like to ask you a question. Do you remember when I bought that for you? Because I do not.
No.
I can certainly tell you it came out a long time ago.
Well, I can also tell you that as a dad, I play it once in a blue moon.
Okay, that hurt.
It took us a good long while. But
I guess.
Main characters, no, not to spoil anything, but I'm spoiling things. If you
I don't care. Yeah. You're not gonna. I wasn't gonna.
But
play
main
anyways.
characters die, and it just doesn't make a lick of sense.
Sure.
And again, one of my biggest things that they've always done is they've turned the entirety of the whole. So a couple of my other friends talked about the notion that, well, you can't get upset because these extremist groups are never consistent. I'm like, yes, they are. That's the whole point.
Which extremist groups?
Any sort of
the Templars
cult level ideology sticks to its ideology almost to a fault. And so to act like these people are like it's kind of a gray area. These people have been...
Well, I have heard that complaint that it does try to make far more of a, like, who's really right here?
It drives me crazy. I don't even care.
The French Revolution is certainly a period of history where you're like, maybe no one was right here.
Well, I'm not even talking about the historical rightness of things. What I'm saying
those guys so easy to take out?
What I'm saying is...
I'm going to save. Well, yes, I'm going to cheat.
Within the game, there used to be a very clear, this is what the Assassin's perspective was on it, this is what the Templar's perspective on it now. Now it's this kind of notion of, they're not that dissimilar, and I'm like, yes, they are!
But this is the difficult thing, is that, what's going on here, pal?
He's sliding down the wall! Or maybe he's just falling really slow.
That was weird. This is weird because, of course, we praised Arcane for things like this and other things that are like it. It's like the concept of gray is more interesting a lot of the time.
If it starts gray.
Well, no, I think even there can be something interesting in starting in a more... That can be an interesting sort of Icarus level fall from grace narrative of like...
I suppose,
starting in the more clear and turning gray. It's like... That can be interesting too.
If it makes
but the problem
sense
is it has to
jump ship.
Yeah, it has to be you gray. You don't just take all the white and all the black and mix them all together and now everyone's the exact same color.
Right.
It's like no, there's the black and white on the ends and then there's shades of gray in between. So some characters are firmly in the middle, some might be more tilted one way or the other. It's like, if everyone's the exact same color, then why are we not all just on the same side? Clearly something is driving us to different directions.
Exactly. And all I'm saying is, on those two opposing directions, there has to be clear distinction. It can't be like, oh, these people basically...
It's my new hit single, by the
way. Please loop that. Please do.
Oh, man. Look me up on SoundCloud. Iggy Funk Stank. I now have to create that so someone else doesn't steal it. And I will only upload sounds of farts.
Wow.
Just to make sure nobody gets any ideas. Anyways, what were you saying about Assassin's Creed? Speaking of sounds of farts.
Yeah, no doubt. No, but I finally think that I've just kind of gone, no, they've lost me officially.
Well, it took you a long time.
It has taken me a long time. On that note, though, I'm also going to start another game that I haven't yet been able to play because I'm also a father. And
You said that as if it was you're a different father now?
yes, I'm a father of other kids now, other than my previous 4.
I'm also a church father. What other context is father
Wish I was
used?
minister.
In the church, in the family? I don't know. Is it you're in some kind of weird cult? You join the mob? I don't think
Yeah. I don't think that's what they call them.
No. I don't think that... Well, Godfather, I suppose. But that I don't even think that's what they really call them internally. That I think that really came from the book. And the subsequent films. But I don't believe that they're usually referred to that by the people in it. It's usually just like the boss or the Don or whatever. You gonna finish your point?
I switched to. I'm about to start doing
CrossFit.
No, yeah. What's the other Shadow of War?
You're gonna play that without me.
Well, I mean, unless you want to play it on here.
Well,
I think the people would like Shadow of War. Maybe.
Thank you, Vlad. I don't disagree, but we're in the middle of this.
Well, sure, but maybe they need a break from Adam.
What? So you're saying, we just had a 2-month break from Adam. Do you need a break from Adam?
I'm just saying, I'm tired of
I don't know you from Adam's off on. Actually, I have no clue what the actual line is there, but I think it's
Adam's
something...
or... I feel like it's Adam or Fox.
That wouldn't make sense. I always thought it was Adam's... well, now I don't know. Now you've got me confused. I'm going to look it up.
I'm just jumping.
What?
Okay. I didn't realize I was going to do that.
Forget you weigh 1,000 pounds or something. Your knee hinges can't handle that.
Where are the Boingo knees when you need them?
She's got them in the flight suit. That's why I'm interested in the knees.
Are you sure it's why you're interested in the knees?
It's one of the reasons.
To be clear distinction. It has to be clear distinction. It can't be like